Okay, today we're going to work on the section for your absolute value functions. Now, a couple of things that you have to remember. Absolute value is the distance from zero. So how far is your number from zero? And I want you to remember that distance is always positive, always positive. So we just have to find out how far your number is from zero. So let's go ahead and take a look at our first one. Now, notice that we have right here, it says determine the value of y if x is 2. So we've got to put our x is 2 into our equation here. So we've got y equals the absolute value of x plus 11. Now they want us to substitute in that x. They want x to be 2. So let's go ahead and rewrite it. Y equals the absolute value of 2 plus 11. Now, to help you with the absolute value, now remember, here's our number line, here is 0, and here is 2. They want to know what is the distance from 2 to 0. In other words, how many jumps does it take to get from 2 to 0? It takes 2 jumps. Distance is always positive. So the absolute value of 2 is 2 plus 11. 2 plus 11 is 13. So that is actually our solution, 13. Not so bad, huh? Well, let's take a look at the next one. Okay, in our next one, this time it says determine the value of y if x is -5. So in other words, they want us to take -5 and substitute it in for our x. So let's go ahead and rewrite it. Y equals the absolute value of -5 minus 6. So let's go back to that number line. If I have my number line, here is 0, and here is -5. How many jumps is it going to take to get from -5 to 0? So what is this distance? And remember, distance is always positive. So if distance is positive, how many jumps is it going to take? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It takes 5 jumps to get from -5 to 0. So the absolute value of -5 is a +5. And I have a -6. Okay, so now how do we do this? If I have 5 and I take away 6, I'm left with a -1. So in this case, our solution is y equals -1. So I'm going to go over here and put -1. Let's take a look at our next one. Okay, in this one, notice that we have to determine the value of y if x is -6. So they want us to take the -6 and substitute it in for x. Let's go ahead and write our equation. Y equals the absolute value of -6 plus 5. Now again, on our number line, we have 0 and we have -6. What is the distance between -6 and 0? How many jumps is it going to take? It's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it takes 6 jumps. And remember, distance is always positive. So that means my absolute value of -6 is +6 plus 5. 6 plus 5 is 11. So I'm going to submit the answer of 11. Okay, one more. Here we go. So now we have x is 3 and our equation. So we are going to take our our +3 and substitute it in for our value of x. So we have y equals the absolute value of 3 minus 10. So now we have our 3. So if this is 0, whoops, here we go. Here is 0 and here is 3. And we're looking for the distance between 0 and 3, and it would take us 1, 2, 3 jumps. So our absolute value of +3 is +3. Now we're going to subtract 10. So if I have 3 and I try to give away 10, I don't have enough to give, so I'm still going to have a negative answer. So back to that number line, just if you're ever working with negatives, I always have like this imaginary number line up in my head. So here is 0, here is 3, right? And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So what I do is this tells me to go positive. So I'm going to start at 0 and go to positive 3 because that's what this is telling us. Then this number is telling us to go backwards 10. So I'm going to go backwards 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So it has me ending right here. Now, if we had been counting, right, this is -1, -2. This is actually -7. So y equals -7. Okay, so I substitute that in or submit that as my answer, and that's it. Ask me questions in class.